Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my color grading process of how I color grade my videos and how all that works. And just a quick disclaimer real quick, I personally shoot in log on my camera, so that really helps me have a lot more control when I am in the color grading process. Let's get started. I personally use DaVinci Resolve for all of my editing, so it has a nice coloring tab under there, and it's a little intimidating at first, but it's okay. It's super easy to use. So the first thing I do is I go to the color tab, and the next thing I do is I go under my effects and I drag the color space transform effect onto my first node. Once it's on there, I click input color space, and I change it to Canon Cinema Gamut, as well as input gamma. I set that to Canon log, and everything starts to get a lot more saturated and everything. And after that, I want to click output color space, and I'm going to change this to Rec 709, and same for output gamma. Once I have all that done, the next thing I usually do is add a new node, and I'm going to add a new corrector node. And usually what I do here is I'll go under my color wheels and I'll go under offset and kind of change the exposure. I personally am wanting this one to look a little bit darker, and once I get it to about where I think it looks good, I'll add a new node, and this one I usually use for temperature. And so the image is looking a little warm, so I'm going to make it a little bit more cool. Around -550 is looking good for me. And you can see the before and after there, it's already starting to shape up really nice. So after that, I will usually add another node and play with my highlights. And everything's a little bit blown out here, so I'm gonna drag these down, pull them out a little bit more. I usually drag those to about -45. It usually looks pretty good for my lighting setup. Now everything's looking a little bit more saturated than I would normally saturate it. So what I'm going to do is grab my skin tone color here, and usually I go to qualifier, click on that, I select my skin color, and under the qualifier tab, once you select it, you can see it kind of turns it into a mask. So then what I usually do is bring my blur radius up. Basically what this is going to do is affect everything that is that color. So you can see it's got my arm and my face in there, and that's perfect. So then I go back under my color wheels tab, and I just kind of play around with it and try to see what I can get that I like. I usually desaturate my skin tones a little bit because I don't like a super saturated look, but that's just my personal style. Another thing that I would normally do is add another node for shadows and darken the shadows a little bit to give it a little bit more contrast. Not too much, just real subtle kind of look. And looking back, everything looks pretty good. I'm going to change my color temperature again because it's a little bit warm for me still. That's looking perfect. So there's before and after. Now usually the next thing I would do is, this is usually my final step, I'll go to add node corrector, make a new node here, and I put on the Minimal Tones Kodak LUT by Landed by the Way. And this just really gives it a really cool, unique look. And so I go under key output, and I usually set this to about half. That way it's not like super overpowering. And usually adjust my shadows for that as well. That way it's not super dark. And then make sure my exposure's good as well. Maybe brighten up the image a little bit there, and everything's starting to shape up real nicely. The last thing that I will do is usually desaturate just a little bit the entire image. That way it just kind of gives it a nice little stylized look. So that's my entire process. Hope this video was helpful to you guys, that you were able to learn something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I will see you guys next time.